Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL, and today, Chall Chats Doncaster Rovers, Harrogate Town 3, Doncaster Rovers 1. I had a chance to watch the game back again this morning, speak my thoughts on it, and share my overall views on the goals, on individual performances, share what we need to do in the next game against Newport, and share my thoughts. Now, it's very important to mention, and I'm going to say this right at the start before anyone starts reacting on social media about this video. I will play devil's advocate in this situation. I will split it right down the middle. I do not care if that calls me a fence sitter. I do not care because I'm going to see it from both sides of the coin. I refuse personally and professionally, not just because of the media basis, but also as a fan, I refuse to get drawn into either side. I refuse to because quite a few people had a lot to say about me yesterday on social media, and I'm going to answer all the queries in this video as well as going through the game. So before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to this YouTube video. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers and 500,000 views as well. Plenty of content to come though today. Shrewsbury versus Wrexham in the FA Cup. We're going to be covering that this afternoon. We've also got a preview and a review from the Spurs Cavaliers NBA game. So we're going to be having a preview with Noah. He's going to be coming back on the channel to preview the game, have a look at the Spurs season so far. It's not been a great one. 3 weeks ago, they just ended, an 18-game losing streak. So they're on a losing streak of 4 at the minute. So not a great season for the Spurs overall, but definitely a couple of impressive players in that team. So we're going to discuss all of that. For any of you basketball fans, stay tuned for all of that coming up as well. But for now, guys, let's get straight into this one and let's talk about Harrogate Town 3, Doncaster Rovers 1. First thing I want to say is congratulations to Harrogate Town. At the end of the day, they took their chances. We didn't. We were much better in the second half than the first. There was a time there where we could have been 3-4-1 up if we took our chances, and we didn't. At the end of the day, we didn't. And Harrogate were more clinical than Rovers. Therefore, they deserve the win. It's as plain as simple as that, in my personal opinion. And some Rovers fans may not like the fact that I say they deserve the win. But to be honest with you, in my heart of heart, they deserved it because they were more clinical than us. And they defended better than us. And Grant McCann's not going to shy away from that. He knows for a simple fact that they defended better and they took their chances better. They know that for a fact, and Grant McCann knows that for a fact. When I look at that lineup, when I look at the way we lined up in that game, when we started that game against Harrogate, in fact, I'm going to use this as an opportunity right now to go back and have a look at the way we started that game in terms of lineup, because I guarantee you there was nothing, in my opinion, there was nothing wrong with that lineup. What could Grant McCann do? What could Grant McCann do with that lineup? Let's show you the lineup. So Lewis Jones in goal, and people had a lot to say about him after the game, didn't he? I'll go on to that in a moment. Lewis Jones in goal. Lawler's injured. You've got Bottomley as your backup. You have to start Lewis Jones, in my opinion. Back four: Senior, Bailey, Olowu, Sterry. No problem with that. Midfield three: Close, Biggins, Rowe. Resolutions about Biggins, but Rowe, Close, fair enough. If he was fit, Westbrook would have started, but we haven't. And on the bench in terms of midfielders, we have Broadbent, who's just coming back from injury. You've got no other centre midfielders apart from that. So that's all you can do. I mean, Bailey can move into the midfield and you put Close on Biggins' side. Rogue stays where he is, and then you put McGrath on defence. But McGrath still needs time to ease into it. And McGrath, in my opinion, still needs, to ease his way into the team. He can't be thrown in straight away. So I get it. Front three: Ironside, Molyneux, Foul. I have my resolutions about Foul on the wing. However, and this is the big thing that some people missed before they realised, Hurst got injured during the warm-up, so Jack Goodman replaced him on the bench. Therefore, when you look, apart from Nixon, who can play further forward, apart from Connor Carter, who can play out wide, but he's not really a winger, you've got no other wingers. So there's nothing McCann could have done with that starting lineup at all. And plus, we won 3-0 against MK Dons. Don't change something that's not broken. That's just my stance on it. Right then, the goals. Watched them back second time, third time, fourth time, and I am not wrong, in my opinion, on all 3 goals. First one, Sterry comes in and covers his man. Huge gap opened up. Close is behind him. Can't track in quick enough to get the tackle in. Obviously, if he goes in behind and puts enough force behind it, penalty, straight red. Can't take the risk. Could people say we have a lack of players taking risks and we need to bring in someone who's willing to take one for the team and be a brute force in the midfield? Maybe so. But again, Close doesn't want to risk a red. Can't go in behind with a lot of pace and go in behind because that's a straight penalty anyway. And that's probably going to be Harrogate 1-0 up anyway because, you know, in my opinion, since Jonathan Mitchell left, we've not saved a lot of penalties. So, you know, obviously Oluwu can't. Obviously, Oluwu needed to come forward a bit, but he made the decision to stay back and try and cover it on the line as the shot came in. But the shot comes in. And to be fair to Sam Fallerin, he had a good game before he got injured at the end of the first half. Our equaliser, great goal by Tommy Rowe. Really good strike. Really good strike. And he took that quite well. We did. Harrogate cleared it as much as they could, and we took it well on the edge of the area. So fair play to Tommy Rowe. Great goal. Harrogate's second goal. Cross comes in by Daly. Great assist by Ramsey. On that one, the marking should have been better. However, take nothing away from the fact that Harrogate put a good cross in the box. Yes, we can't defend crosses, and yes, we can't defend a cross in the box again. You know, we did well against MK Dons to deal with crosses in the box because we had a few coming against MK Dons throughout that game, even though MK Dons didn't do a lot of attacking force with the ball. They still put a lot of good crosses in the box, and we dealt with them. Somehow we didn't deal with them this time, and that's something that's on us. We take responsibility for that. We can't defend cross with the box at the minute, and we still have to keep working on that. And again, it's all about consistency, which I will go to in a bit. But take nothing away from Harrogate's cross in the box. It was still a good cross. The fact we can't defend it takes nothing away from the good cross. It was a good finish by Daly in the box. 2-1. The third one really divides opinion, and it completely divided opinion on social media. And this is where I stand on the situation, and I will always stand by this on this situation. And this is why I get so mad sometimes with our fan base on social media. First of all, and I'm going to say this first before anyone starts thinking, oh, he's praising the Harrogate player, he's praising the Harrogate Town player, but not calling out the inept defending. I will call this out first. Oluwu was at fault for that goal, along with a couple of other players in that defence. I'm not taking anything from the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper couldn't do anything with that strike. Couldn't do anything with that strike. Some people said, yeah, it wasn't too near the corner. Jones could have saved that a bit better. Look at the strike in real time. You could slow it down or whatever. You could replay it again and again and again and again. The strike in real time with that power, couldn't do much about that. Couldn't do a lot about that. People could say, yeah, he could stretch a little bit more towards it and things like that. And yeah, maybe Jones thinks in his head he could have stretched for it a little bit better. But in my mind, in my personal opinion, Jones couldn't do more with that particular goal. So just ignore Jones for a second, because I know, you know, it's going to get talked about on social media. And I know it's been used as a battering ram for Lewis Jones sometimes, but let's just take Lewis Jones out of the equation. Let's focus on the defence and the goal itself. Oluwu takes responsibility. A couple of other defenders take responsibility. But I take, as a Rovers fan, and I will say this with balls and I will say this with confidence, I take nothing away from Abraham Odo's strike. If any Rovers fans want to come on social media at me and say, oh, I fancy Abraham Odo, or oh, I like him, I think he's good. No. All I'm doing as a respectable football fan is praising an opposition player when he puts in a 10 out of 10 performance. Harrogate didn't perform like a 10 out of 10. Harrogate weren't amazing. They just did what they needed to, and they took their chances. We didn't. What I will hold us accountable for in that game is we didn't take our chances, We didn't defend well with the cross in the box. We didn't mark the first goal well. We didn't mark the third goal well when they were coming down the break. We let him inside way too easily. And yes, it shouldn't have got to that point in the first place. But I take nothing away from Sam Follering before he got injured at the end of the first half. I take nothing away from Odo for his 10 out of 10 performance. And I take nothing away from Harrogate Town with the fact that they did better on the day at their clinicalness. Now then, now we've got the goals out of the way and I've stood by my stance and I'll stand by it. No matter how many people disagree with me, I stand by it. Now then, what about consistency? That is our biggest killer. People want to say, yeah, the defence isn't good enough, all this, Bailey was in that defence. And for my opinion, I think he was one of the men of the match as well. I think he had a class game. Again, Bailey, he's been the most consistent player this season. And this is it. This is it on first of all, this is it on consistency. We're starting to bring consistent players in. Owen Bailey is consistent. That's the start. More players like that over time, and it will get better. It will get better. I'm not saying we should be, I'm not saying we should like to lose. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is keep in the back of your minds to expect inconsistent runs of form for the rest of this season until it gets sorted. It's not going to happen in one window. That's what I hope people understand and what I want people to understand if they don't. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one season. It's going to take 2 or 3 seasons, and you better buckle up for it because it's going to take longer than you think. It's going to take longer than you think. For the players that need to move on, for more players that need to come in, it's going to happen. Excuse me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen where we're going to have inconsistent runs of form, and it's going to happen. And that's what I think people need to understand. If they don't already, I'm not saying people don't understand, but those that don't need to understand. It's not going to happen overnight. Inconsistent runs of form are going to happen. Do we like it? No. Do I think it's going to keep going on? Yes. Why am I not overreacting about the result? Because I know this year's not going to be our year. I know this. We're not going to go on a miraculous run and win the playoffs. I know the January window is not going to fix all the flaws. I knew for a fact this was never going to be a one-season thing. I knew for a fact. And the fact that some people didn't shocks me. Not naming names, but I know some people thought we were going to go in playoffs this year. I'm sorry, with all due respect, it's absolutely ludicrous. The fact we're going to be in the playoffs this year. We're not. We're not. And we have to accept that. While we sort out the issues, while we sort out the consistency, while we sort out the defensive mistakes, and again, it wasn't an overall bad performance. It was the fact that defensive mistakes and not dealing with a cross in the box cost us. And we weren't clinical either. We had, 11, 12 shots, only a couple on target? Harrogate only had a few shots, and they had most of them on target. That's the difference. Clinicalness. Being clinical. And people were saying all throughout the game, well, bring on Carl Hurst. Why ain't Carl Hurst coming on? He was injured in the warm-up. We didn't have another winger apart from Nixon, who's a wing back or a right back. I'm sorry if people find this offensive, but there was a massive, massive meltdown on social media again because we lost. And it's not as simple as we lose, season's done, we're going down. We're not going down, we're not going up, we're staying in this league and we are fixing the screw-ups. It won't just take January. It won't just take the summer. It won't just take next January. It's going to take at least 3 or 4 windows to get us to where we need to be. And with Terry Bramwell as the chairman, I have more than enough confidence. more than enough confidence that Terry, Grant, Matt, the staff, Cliff, everyone, the players, everyone. I know for a fact that everyone round that club wants to turn it around, but it's going to take some time. And yes, sometimes we are the misdoings of our own fortune. Yes, sometimes, like Sunderland against Newcastle yesterday, we were the masters of our own downfall because we weren't clinical enough, we didn't defend the cross in the box, and Oluwu lost his man running in behind. But I will say it till I'm blue in the face, and I'll say it again. I take nothing away from Harrogate Town. At the end of the day, they were clinical. Right now, as I'm filming this video, I'm sat in front of two frame photos, one of a statue, one of an old photo of the great Jackie Milburn. The great Jackie Milburn. Some of you younger fans might not know who Jackie Milburn is. He is, in my opinion, arguably in history, one of the greatest English football players of all time, because he was proven, he was clinical, he was a leader, he loved the game, he was a fan's favourite, he loved it. One of the greatest of all time in this sport. And I'm sat in front of him now, and right there, I see a legend. I see a legend. And there are players in that Rovers squad that can be legends. People like Owen Bailey, people like Joe Ironside, people like Jack Senior, people like James Derry, previous legends James Coppinger, Alec Jeffrey, Colin Douglas, Harry Gregg, everyone. So when I see people melt down after one loss, when we know we're going to be inconsistent for the rest of this season while we fix the screw-ups over the next 3-4 windows, I don't get mad. I just feel this blood boil because I see the bigger picture. Other people see the bigger picture. I choose not to slag off the players. I choose to be constructive. I choose not to lose my rag over one loss. I choose to see the bigger picture. Why? Because I think ahead. I don't think, oh, we've lost one game, we're done. I don't. I don't, because I see what this manager can do. I see what most of these players can do. Yes, some of them maybe need to move on, but I'm not going to name names on this channel about who needs to move on and who shouldn't. I'll wait till the end of the season for that and give you my honest, constructive opinion as to why. I won't slag him off and say, yeah, I want him to move on because he's not good enough. I want him to move on because he's not good enough. When it comes down to it, at the end of the season, I'm going to say, right, maybe he needs to go because of this, this, and this. And I think he works better in a system suited to this team or this team or this team. I support my club in a different way to other people. And I hope that people respect that. If you don't, fair enough. If you do, thank you. Thank you for respecting my difference of opinion, my difference of support. That's probably rant done for me. I didn't want it to be a rant because this is a sports media network. This is a professional sports media network, but I just lost my cool. I've just completely lost my cool with some of the response that I got from Rovers fans yesterday. Not all of them, but some of them. I thought Daniel Nice was absolutely spot on his post. I thought others were spot on their posts. But I choose to praise Harrogate because at the end of the day, they were clinical, we weren't, and they turned up in the end of the day in terms of their clinicalness, and they deserve the win because of that. And then, there were other people that said, oh, why are you praising lower league luck for being disrespectful to our fans and things like that? I weren't praising them for being disrespectful. I respect the fact they had the balls to bait our fans, because at the end of the day, what they're doing on social media is banter. What they're doing on social media is deliberately taking the mick because they know that some people online will buy that, take it seriously, and react. They knew exactly what they were doing, and some fans bought into it big time, which is why I wasn't losing my cool with them the first time round, because I knew exactly what they were doing and I knew they weren't serious. They were just looking for reactions. And they got one. You gave them exactly what they were after, which is why I'm not mad with anyone in that situation. I'm done. I'm done before I start losing my cool. Like I said, we've got Newport coming up the next week. We've got Wigan on the Tuesday after that. We've got Bradford away the Saturday on that week of the Wigan game. And then I think it's Stockport at home the following week after that. So yeah, that's probably the longest reaction you're going to get from me on a match day from Rovers. But yeah, I promise you it will be more professional than that. I swear to God. I have tried to keep it as professional as possible, but when you've got some people's responses online the other day, you have to address it. You just have to address it. But we are going to get back to some proper content today. We've got Shrewsbury Wrexham this afternoon. We've got London Lions Euro Cup basketball on Tuesday. We've got Wigan United tomorrow. We've got preview and a review from the Spurs Cavaliers NBA game this afternoon, this evening, and tonight. So plenty of content coming up throughout the day today. But for now, guys, I'm the CHALL. Ta-ra for now.